noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, welcome in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans and Scotty, welcome into the program. Day 2 of our 3-day draft spectacular. Day 1 yesterday, the first round of the NBA draft. Day 2 coming up today, although not nearly as intriguing, but it will be starting at 2 o'clock, Hans, and we will have pick number 32 during probably the first segment of our 2 o'clock hour. So whether the Jazz use it, sell it, trade it, whatever they do, it'll probably happen in that early 2 o'clock hour.
How much fun was coverage last night? I know you jumped on.
I was a little late to the party, but boy, it was fun.
It was a blast. Got to come down, jumped on at 7. Actually was there during the 10th pick with Coach Cleveland, Jake, and Ben, and we were able to kick things around. There were so many different surprises. So many surprises, but it was such a fun draft. I know that it was limited on talent. I know that it's not the most hyped draft in NBA history, but there were some things that made it fun. You know, you got to that 10th pick, Scotty, and you had Cody Williams, Nikola Topic, and Dalton Connect, who ended up tumbling all the way down to number 17.
I know, it's crazy.
But you had your choice of all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
Not to mention Bazelis and Carter, who were still on the board. You got to 10, and if you would have had 3 picks, if you had 10, 11, and 12, you probably would have taken all 3 of those just to see what the future is and what the potential development is. Because who the hell would have ever known Ron Holland was going to go in the top 5?
I know.
Who would have known that Zach Edey was going to go in the top 10?
No clue on that one. That was ridiculous. And bah, have fun with that, Memphis.
Memphis took Zach Edey 1 pick before the Utah Jazz took Cody Williams. So it was one surprise after the other. What was there anything that jumped out to you?
Edey was the big one, and then Holland was the other. Edey a little bit more than Holland.
What do they see in those guys?
I don't know. But God bless you. Good luck with that.
Well, it turned out really nice for the Jazz, and they ended up getting Isaiah Collier down at number 29, which, for those of you that have done your homework, you saw that Isaiah Collier, there was a time where he was projected as a top 10.
Oh, yeah, top 5.
Possibly a top 5.
This is the number 1 high school recruit in the country.
Yeah. And has every bit of ability that you could need or want. And if you've watched any of the highlight videos, he is a creator. He can catch and shoot too, but he's a creator.
Yeah, his shooting wasn't great. Not a great outside shooter. And that's something that is going to be a point of emphasis for him going forward. But he is elite at passing. He's an elite assist guy. He's an elite getting to the rim and drawing fouls at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of his game is really fascinating. And at 29, to have that guy fall in your lap and to be like, okay, we've got this kind of talent. At 29, you can't pass that up. Now, look, Baylor Shireman would have been a nice, safe pick at 29. You know what you're going to get out of him. But that dude is old. Like, I called a game of his when he was a sophomore in 2020. That's how long he's been around. You know exactly what you're going to get out of him. And him going to Boston, that's a great pick for them because he'll be immediate plug and play, great shooter. You know, he's a good player. The upside on what you could get for what you got at 29 could far exceed that. Now, it could be far less than that. It could bust on you. But that's the kind of pick you make at 29, where there's an opportunity to really blow it up and really have something great, or you took a flyer and it didn't work out fine. It was a 29th overall pick. No harm, no foul.
I actually think Cody Williams is kind of in the same boat. I think that there's more certainty that he will at some point be the guy or be a guy, but I feel like he's a developmental project. I feel like he's going to take some time.
Well, he's 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a baby.
And he dealt with the injuries at Colorado. But again, extreme upside there. And David Locke mentioned yesterday and mentioned last night as well, he had two guys that he felt like could be all-stars in the draft. And Cody Williams is one of them.
Okay, so when it got there to number 10, and Williams, Topich, Connect, and Carter were all still on the board, you feel like the Jazz got the better of the group?
I do, because I thought of all those guys, I thought Cody Williams would be gone before 10. Connect, I felt like there was a chance he could be there at 10. Carter, I felt like there was a chance he could be there at 10. Topich with the injury.
Did you even see a mock that had Cody available at 10?
Nope.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
So just based on that, look, I'm not huge evaluator of talent guy, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm just going by where I thought a player would go based on what would be available at 10, and the fact that he was available at 10 makes me believe that should be the surefire pick there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we got best available. We got the second round coming up. I've got some ideas on where I hope the Jazz go.
Well, let's get to it. Hans and Scotty, it's your starting lineup right here on The Zone.
This is Hans and Scotty G.
Let's go.
The lineup is set, and it's time to kick off the show with the biggest topic of the day. This is the starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, your starting lineup, and the show brought to you in part by Mountainland Supply, where the pros go for plumbing, landscaping, irrigation, HVAC parts, tools, and a whole lot more. Find a location near you at mountainland.com.
All right, so, Scotty, you tell me this. Is there anybody out there other than Kyle Filipowski at this point that the Jazz should take at number 32?
Really intrigued with Filipowski, for sure.
Even if Johnny Furphy is available.
Furphy is a guy I would look at as well. I would go Filipowski 1, Furphy 2.
Okay, I would too. Now, a lot of people don't agree with that.
No.
But I think Filipowski gives you more length. I think he gives you a little bit more defensive versatility. I know that Furphy's got a little more mobility, but I feel like Filipowski's length is there. And, he's one of the awkward stories that came out last night, just watching him stand around and name not get mentioned, even though a lot of people projected him falling into the second. There was obvious disappointment on his face, and it probably sucks for him to fall into the second, but I think it's a really nice thing for the Utah Jazz to have him sitting there at 32. Oh, to have those two, because if it's not Filipowski, it's Furphy.
Yeah.
So really, you've got two options in the first two picks of this second round that starts right around 2 o'clock that we get to see announced. But here we go again, Scotty. Here we go again, buddy. 3 picks. This will be the second year in a row that essentially you've got 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And this will be the second year in a row. You're taking all 3 picks. At least all indicators show that they've got intentions to develop number 10 and number 29 that they took yesterday. Have you heard anything other than that?
No.
So it sounds like their intentions are to take their draft picks, develop them. There's 5 over the last 2 years. Here potentially comes 6. So you better be really good at identifying and developing these babies.
Well,
because
this is what the G League's for, right?
Yeah.
Jazz might have the best G League roster in the country. They may have the best Summer League roster in the country.
Well, the Summer League roster with Walker Kessler and
Keontae
and
Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah.
And you throw in these 3.
Yeah, and I think Sensabaugh's going to play.
Sensabaugh will be there, yeah.
It's going to, if anything, it's going to be a fun competition and fun to watch the future of the Jazz. But, man, we go back to last year. There was like, no way they'll take 3 and develop 3. Then this year it's like, no way they'll take 3 and develop 3. But Jake asked me at the start of coverage yesterday, do I think that they'll take or do I think that they'll move? And I said I think they'll take because I think that's what Danny Ainge, that's his design. That's why he moved everything he had to move back into the draft. I don't think he moved everything he moved to get back into the draft to move out of the draft for something else at this point. Now, maybe a little bit later with the other, what has he got, 11 first-round picks over the next 3, No.
5 years.
Over the next 5 years?
Yeah.
I think it's 11 over the next 4, right? Because
Yep.
it was 13 over the next, or over 5 or whatever it was. But,
Yep.
but it's something like that. I don't think he did that to move early and try to make a player out of a pick. I think he's wanted to get back in the draft to make some picks and see if he could find a gold mine.
Well, and the other thing, too, you don't build a team just based on, you love the stars and you love that big game hunting that he talks about a little bit, but you also have to fill it out with good role players. And I think the Jazz, look, I don't think that you're going to see Cody Williams being a 10-time All-Star. I don't anticipate that would be the case, but, I mean, it sure would be nice if that happened. I don't think the Jazz are drafting anybody right now that's a perennial All-Star, but I do think that there are good role player options available. You go back to that locker room clean-out postseason press conference with Danny Ainge, where he talked about Keontae George may not necessarily be your true point guard. Okay, well, you may have found him at 29. Maybe. So there's a lot of different things you can toy around with here that you can play around with. I heard PK this morning talk a little bit about, of course, the local guys are going to play these guys up. And I think they're good picks. I loved a lot of the things the Jazz did yesterday, but I'm not saying that the Jazz are now title contenders. I just think this is just one step of team building if you can hit on one or two of these picks. The chances of all three of them being contributing role players is pretty slim. Mm-hmm. But if you can hit on one or two out of the three, all right.
And you hit on one or two out of the three last year.
Yep.
Then, you start to build some pretty affordable talent.
Exactly.
And then you bring in the big game.
Yep.
I talked to Coach Steve Cleveland about this yesterday in my hit during the first round. And I think it's important. And, Scotty, this is something you and I have talked about for the last couple of years. When Danny Ainge acquired all these draft picks and he moved on from Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gobert, Agbaji, I'll exclude him.
Conley.
But Mike Conley, when he moved on from all these pieces, this was what I mentioned to Steve Cleveland. If you're going to take 6 draft picks in 2 seasons and put them in a locker room together, you damn well better have somebody in that locker room that's got incredible culture, that has a really good understanding of championship basketball, that has laser focus, that has solid intentions, that doesn't whine, doesn't complain, that plays tough basketball on both ends of the courts. And I mentioned that to Steve Cleveland, and I said, right now, who is your culture guy in the locker room? Is it Jordan Clarkson? And he stopped me, and he said, whoa. If you're expecting it to be Jordan Clarkson, the first thing that these guys are going to see is he doesn't play defense. So you want these young guys to come in and understand it's all run and gun and it's firing up, it's shooting when you got it, and you don't play defense on the other side. He said, who is your real character guy? Who is the guy that you want the other guys to emulate? Is it Colin Sexton? Is it Larry Markkinen? Is it John Collins? If you're expecting it to be Larry Markkinen, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. I think he's a quiet guy. I think he will do his job, play his role, but I don't think he's going to slap Taylor Hendricks in the back of the head and say, hey, if I see you slow down on this transition again, we're going to have problems.
So, okay, from your perspective as a guy that's been a leader of a college team and an AFL team, been around some of the greatest leaders to ever lead the game like Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
When you talk leadership, you're not just talking about making sure you're doing your job your best, but how you interact with others.
How you interact, how you handle it. Yeah, I told you, one of the more fascinating things for me growing up in the football world was watching how Peyton Manning handled his business early. When we're sitting at camp, he comes around to every rookie's breakfast table, sits down and has breakfast with every rookie, lineman or otherwise, defender or otherwise. Sat down, asked your name, picked your brain, and then what was crazy is him and Marvin were the first guys on the field, and they showed you how to do it. They didn't just tell you how to do it. They showed you how to do it. And they show you how to run your business, and they show you that it's important, and it is a business. And if you're expecting to make millions, you got to put millions back into your body, millions back into your craft. You got to put millions of hours, millions of time, millions of minutes back into what you do. And that's the way you become a champion. And I'm just looking at him like, okay, well, who is that guy that every one of these young guys is looking at? Maybe it is Lowry. Maybe Lowry handles his business like that. And maybe just his example on the court and in the practice room and in the meetings and in the film room, maybe that example is enough. It's what I was talking to Coach about. That's why I wouldn't mind seeing a Jimmy Butler. That's why I wouldn't mind seeing a Klay Thompson, because they've been around at least championship level basketball. They know what it takes, and they'll put their guts into it. I'm not saying that they're at their peak performance, and I am saying that they're going to probably cost you more than what they're going to give you on the court. But man, I want real chemistry. I want real discipline. I want somebody that these young guys, when they get there, they see it. And I know Cody Williams' brother. I know all about him. I know what he does. I know who he is. And I'm sure that Cody has seen his brother and probably taken notes with his brother. I want something bigger and better than that these guys can quickly learn from and understand what their role is. Because they're all impressionable, Scotty. And that's the crazy thing. You get one opportunity to leave a massive impression on a rookie on how to handle your business at the professional level. You get one shot at it. And it's not a coach's job. Even though Steve Cleveland, again, brought up, he's like, hey, look, each of these players has a coach that's assigned to them and works them into the league. We saw it with Alex Jensen and Rudy Gobert. We know the influence there. Mm-hmm. So they better have the right guys set up and established to join forces with these players as they show up to work them into professional style basketball. But I'm just asking for a certain amount of culture, because I want crazy basketball played. I want tough-nosed basketball. I want guys that don't get 3 years into development and start stomping their feet. I just don't like what's happening here, and I got to go find something bigger and better. I want to go where I can win and start holding the Jazz hostage after the Jazz have put millions of dollars and thousands of hours into their development. And these guys are developmental guys. You're going to put a lot of time into them.
Yeah, I just don't know who that is, and I don't know if that's available right now. I do agree with your point that you got one shot, though.
You get one shot.
And that just goes for life in general.
And if you got the wrong influences.
Yeah.
Scotty, you know this in this industry alone.
100%.
If you got the wrong influence, it is absolutely detrimental to your young guys coming in. My first influence in this industry was Kevin Graham, and that's why I mistreat producers. And that's why I'm typically late for the show and dress poorly. That's why I've got terrible body odor and don't brush my teeth. That's why I'm pretty much a failure in the industry.
That's why you got to be careful when we take you on road trips and the places you like to go to. I'm joking, by the way.
I am too. As much as the listeners out there remember Kevin as the little ball of hate, the storm cloud, Kevin did a lot of things professional.
Yeah, no, Kevin was the consummate.
Kevin took a lot of pride in what he did on air. So that's who I learned from.
Yeah. Not Lund. You had to break a lot of bad habits.
Hold on. Now, great case in point. When I showed up, the first thing Kevin Graham told me was, don't listen to or do anything that Lund does. So, again, it goes back to who are the influences that you have. I'm serious, Scotty. It plays a major role in the professional world.
I agree.
And it can change the trajectory of an individual.
Yeah.
And right now, who is it? Is it Jordan Clarkson?
It's going to be Jordan or
Colin?
John Collins, maybe.
Colin Sexton?
Colin Sexton will have a part of it, but usually, okay, let me ask you this. Doesn't it have to be your best player?
Yes.
It has to be your best player.
Yes.
So then it's Larry Markkinen.
Okay. And I'm fine with that because I feel like Larry keeps his mouth shut,
I do
head
too.
down, and plays on both ends.
Now he's not going to be the rah-rah kick you in the butt guy, but he does the work. He puts in the time. And he may not be the vocal guy, but as far as I can tell and everything I've talked to, he doesn't have bad habits in terms of practicing film, and stuff like that. It seems like those habits are good. So you hope that he's not going to scream and yell and do that stuff that we saw in that Jordan documentary and trying to force guys to be better. But his individual work ethic seems to be in a good place.
Well, That is my ultimate design for Jazz fans right now. Jazz fans that are listening, and you might hear me and you might be thinking, why is Hans harping on this so much? I want the best for you. I want this team to be a Western Conference power. At some point, I want the Jazz to be able to compete in the Western Conference. And I can tell you right now, because I was in Peyton Manning's huddle for a couple of years, and I got to see it. Mm-hmm. When Peyton takes the huddle, it's full control. Everything is his way. He knew what I was supposed to do. He knew what the center was supposed to do. He knew what his receivers were supposed to do, and there was an expectation. And when you didn't match the expectation, in my case, I got cut. When you don't match the expectation in a game, he'll pull you in the huddle, and he'll say, keep your mouth shut. Everybody's seen the video between him and Jeff Saturday on the sideline, and Peyton walked over to Jeff and said, you just block and shut up. If we're going to pass it, we're going to pass it. If we're going to run, you just block. That's how he was every day in practice.
And this is at the height of Jeff Saturday's career.
Right.
Who's if he's not a Hall of Famer, a borderline Hall of Fame center.
Should be a Hall of Famer. He will be eventually. He's not now.
Yeah.
But he will be eventually. And Peyton will tell you to shut up, and he'll roll his eyes, and he'll tell you it's not good enough. And he went on and he won a couple Super Bowls because of that style. When we watch those documentaries with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, we know that they're brash, harsh, hated at times, but they win championships. That's what I want to help develop these young guys.
Yeah.
Because you've got a bunch of draft picks, and we've already seen Danny Ainge. He's got a fascination with drafting, probably because he's got a certain spending limit that he's got to hit, and he knows that drafting and producing in those first few years is the best way to be affordable to then bring in his big game to have all those pieces. And it's like, man, give me the big game, man. And you're right, I don't know who it is. I think the best case scenario right now is a Jimmy Butler type, who said he will not take the extension until he knows where Miami's headed.
Yeah.
Because at least Jimmy will tell people to shut up.
Yep.
At least he knows what it takes to get to an Eastern Conference Finals.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Joined now by the head coach of the Colorado Buffalo men's basketball team, Tad Boyle. Were you surprised when Cody went to the Jazz?
I was not surprised he went to the Jazz. I've obviously talked, and our staff has talked to their organization about Cody, and they got a good one.
What are the Jazz getting then, Coach?
Well, they're getting a great athlete that is got unbelievable upside. To me, he's as close to a can't-miss prospect as you're going to get because it comes from a great family. Off the floor, there are no issues. He's really serious about becoming a great pro, and he's only 19 years old. His upside and his future is unquestionable because he's got a great work ethic. He loves the game. He's coachable. There's no negatives other than the fact that he's young, and physically there's going to be some adjustment to the NBA game, but Cody's a smart player and he'll adjust.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10. Presented by Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer for 16 years in a row. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
With the 10th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Cody Williams from the University of Colorado.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, happy day 2 of the NBA Draft. NHL Draft coming up tomorrow. We'll blow out the budget on that coverage coming up as well. Joining us now from Denver Sports, Jake Shapiro, who covers the Colorado Buffaloes as well as the Denver Nuggets for Denver Sports and denversports.com. Kind enough to hang out with us. Jake, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jake.
I'm good. Excited to talk some hoops with you guys. It's been an exciting couple days. Some moving and mashing in the NBA.
No doubt about it. And some of the moving that the Jazz, look, we were going over who it might be, and we always thought, Cody Williams would be nice, but there's no way he'll fall to 10. We thought he'd be long gone by the time the Jazz picked at 10. How surprised were you that he fell that far, and what did the Jazz pick up with this young man?
Yeah, if you'd asked me, wow, Cody Williams fell to 10 maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I would have been stunned because this is a guy that was projected to be the #1 pick for a time. If you had told me 3 days ago that he was drafted at 10, I'd be like, wow, that's not that bad for Cody because he was sliding in the pre-draft process. Look, what you guys got in Cody is a super, super athletic, 6'8" wing. The game footage, and if you saw him play in March Madness, you might be going, that wasn't that good of a player. But if you go back and look at the tape in December and January, when he was healthy, before he suffered an orbital bone fracture in his face, he was awesome. He barely missed a shot in a couple games. He had this game out in L.A., I forgot if it was USC or against UCLA, where he literally did not miss a shot. I think he missed one shot that entire road trip for the Buffs out in those against those two elite schools. So Cody is an awesome player. But then he played through an injury towards the end of the year, which is good in the sense that, the Utah Jazz have a player that's tough and is going to play through an injury, but it's bad because it hurt his draft stock. And I was in Indianapolis for the Buffs tournament game. He did not look good. Let's be clear. He was not a good player in those games, but he was a shell of himself because of the injuries. So you guys got a very athletic, tough player to go with that young core. And, you guys are drafting, obviously, and trying to develop a big team with the idea of Lauri Markkanen maybe playing the 3 or the 4. Cody can play from 2 to 4 in the NBA, in my mind. So he's going to fit really nicely with Walker Kessler, and then hopefully the Jazz, in their mind, are thinking Colin Sexton turns into a starting point guard, right?
Yep.
Comes from a basketball family. We know that he's got some basketball background. You've talked about the injuries, the time off the court, some of the time on the court. Let's talk a little bit about his character. What type of personality is he? Is he self-driven? Does he got that ego that you have to be the high-level basketball player? Does he seem to be the character fit for the NBA?
So I'm going to tell you guys something that's going to be really nice in Utah because we have the same problem in Denver. It's always like when you draft an American star and they end up being really good, it's when are they going to leave us, right? When are they going to go to New York or L.A.? Tad Boyle was the first in the gym, the first school to offer Cody Williams anything. And Cody stuck by Tad through the offers to Arizona, USC, Kansas, all these other big schools because Tad was the first guy to take a chance on him. And he felt that loyalty, and he stayed loyal. Colorado doesn't get kids like Cody Williams. He was the first 5-star recruit in 20 years by the Buffs, the highest recruit Tad Boyle's ever had in 15 years of coaching the Buffaloes. So that alone tells you a lot about Cody's character and what he believes. And Tad Boyle's not an easy coach to play for, especially as a young player, because he is persistent about playing defense and the fundamentals of basketball. He wasn't going to let Cody just go out there and do whatever Cody wanted because he was a 5-star. No. Tad coaches these players up. And from getting to know Cody a little bit off the court, man, he's a quiet kid. He likes to video game. He likes to stick to himself, and he works his butt off. And he is molded in the shape of his older brother, Jalen Williams, who's obviously been a star for the Thunder in his first 2 seasons there. And I talked to Jalen a lot about Cody when he was here in Denver when the Thunder were visiting. And Jalen seems to think of the world of Cody. In fact, he was like, Cody got all my size. I feel a little gypped. That could be even better if I had Cody's size.
From a defensive standpoint, where is he at and how much can he improve? You mentioned that Tad Williams, that's a point of emphasis for him. How is he as a defender? And how much of a step can he take up at the next level on that?
Yeah, he's got a big wingspan. I think that's the real area of growth. If I were to give you best case scenario on Cody, I think that he could be maybe not a star player, but, a top 50 player in the NBA that has, 4 or 5 seasons where he's just one of the better 3-and-D players and can do some other stuff or on the floor. He's not there yet. He's only 190 pounds. He really needs to put some meat on that bone, particularly when he's going to go against guys that are 6'6" and built like Lou Dort or something like that in the NBA. So, yeah, I think he's not there yet. I think this isn't necessarily a project, but it's also not necessarily a plug-and-play. But that's kind of perfect for the Jazz. It's someone that could play right now but isn't there yet and can develop because that fits the Jazz rebuild. And as someone who covered the Pac-12, that's exactly what Isaiah Collier is as well. Like, you guys got 2 really talented players that were highly regarded out of high school that had struggles for different reasons in their first year in college, their lone season in college. Williams, the injury. Collier, the fact that he played for Andy Enfield, who's a horrible coach. And, those are good chances to take, especially when you've got a guy like Will Hardy who's associated with Team USA. Collier and Williams have been associated with Team USA's program in the past. So I really like what the Jazz did last night in taking chances on 2 really talented young players.
What is Williams' best attribute as a player?
His athleticism for sure, but I also really like his processing. I think he's underrated as a processor, and that kind of got overlooked on the floor or in the pre-draft process. Like, he makes a lot of really good decisions really quickly. It's clear that he's thinking about the game at a high level, particularly for an 18, 19-year-old. And then just tertiary, the three-point shooting percentage is going to stand out to anyone because he shot over 40% in college. But he was even better than that, especially in the Buffs offense that just, KJ Simpson gets rim pressure, but they didn't have a lot of rim pressure. So Cody was shooting a lot of contested threes, and he was really their only shooter. De Silva was okay. So Cody's an even better shooter than what we saw in his lone season in college.
I'm going to transition a little bit because I know you cover the Buffaloes as well as a program. Hans and I are taking bets, and I'm not sure how much on the football side you are. Are you coming to Big 12 Media Day here in a couple weeks?
Still up in the air, but I cover the football team quite a bit. So, they're one of the top 10 teams in the country, according to EA College Football today, guys.
Exactly. How about that? Yeah, apparently they've got this high-powered offense nobody's quite seen yet. But that being said, what are the odds that Deion Sanders actually shows up at Big 12 Media Day coming up here in a couple weeks?
That's a great question because he didn't show up to Pac-12 Media Day last year, as you guys are kind of hinting at. I think that, it's a big stage for the Buffs because they're changing conferences. I think Rick George is going to heavily hint that he should be there. So I would guess that Deion Sanders is going to be in Las Vegas. That's prime time for prime time. And he'll say something that gets everyone and all the blogs going. But he'll also probably say something more interesting on his own blog because that's how he controls the narrative. He releases stuff on his own time. So if you're hoping to go get a question into Deion, good luck. I barely have gotten any in over the last 2 years, so good luck.
All right, before we let you go, who's starting opening day at quarterback for the Denver Broncos, and do you think Zach Wilson will do good in that start?
I think it's going to be Jared Stidham, personally. I think the Zach Wilson buy on a prospect so low is quite interesting, especially when, we all saw Bo Nix. We all covered the Pac-12. People don't realize Bo Nix and Zach Wilson are the same age. So you're basically taking two darts at the dartboard with one really highly talented prospect that hasn't worked out and another that we've only seen in college thus far. And, maybe those are replacements. But right now, I think the Broncos, in their mind, Jared Stidham has the lead of the job going into training camp, and one of those two guys is going to have to wrestle it away from him. I would not be surprised if Bo Nix doesn't play until the second half of the season, but I'm not really sure how Zach Wilson factors in here, particularly because it does seem like this is Jared Stidham's team for now.
Well, that sounds fun. That's exciting. Jared Stidham, let's ride. Let's go. All right, well, hey, Jake, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy the second round, and we'll talk again here soon.
Yeah, I hope the people of Utah enjoy their hockey team tonight. That's awesome that you guys got a team, and that should be really cool to see, Utah on the big stage tonight for the first time like that in the NHL.
Avalanche a couple times in the preseason, so we get to see some of that early.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be quite the rival. I'm hoping that's a rivalry. We really only got that with Real Salt Lake and the Rapids. The Jazz Nuggets have never really turned into a thing. So maybe we get Avalanche, Utah, HC turn into a little rivalry.
There we go. Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jake. Jake Shapiro from Denver Sports right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
He likes Cody Williams a lot. I did like the aspect of Cody Williams' allegiance, his commitment to a coach or an organization. Doesn't sound like he's chasing the money. I doubt Colorado was the highest end offer.
Oh, I guarantee they weren't.
And the most opportunity that he had, but stayed with a coach that stayed with him and showed some loyalty. I really like that aspect because when he does pan out, I don't want him to leave. That's become one of my biggest issues with the NBA.
Yeah. Well, and look, you can have all the best intentions and be grounded and down to earth and all of that stuff, but I will go back. You and I sat in that Zions Bank Basketball Center at the end of the rookie year of Donovan Mitchell, and you and I both covered Darren Williams. We saw how fame and fortune turned him, and you and I looked at each other and we're like, I hope it doesn't break him.
Yeah.
We hope it doesn't turn him. And it did. Like the power of the NBA, stardom in the NBA does something to you that can really change your personality and who you are. It just happens to everybody.
You know where I feel like it really turns is in Donovan Mitchell's case. You know, we saw his rookie year, Chris Paul come up to him, hug him, rub his head. We saw Russell Westbrook give him big hugs and, you know, rough him up a little bit and love him up. But what happens is these players end up going to whatever it is, Olympic trial events or all-star events or where they're rubbing elbows with the LeBron James and the Westbrooks and the James Harden, and they're rubbing elbows with these guys. And these guys start putting ideas into their ears. And man, what are you talking about, dude? That's little time show. That's you're acting on a little stage. No, hold on, man. You've got to be a spokesperson for this and this. Like you got to be more representative and be more vocal on this, and this. Oh no, I don't understand what you're trying to do and what purpose you're serving there. Like, what if we join forces and we're here and we're working? I think sometimes those ideas leak into these young guys' heads, and these guys are role models, man. These guys are larger than life to them, and so they just eat up everything they tell them. And by the time they get back to Utah, they think Utah's a bum state. They think Utah fans are bum fans. They think that there's bigger and better things and greener grass. And it just feels like it happens time and time again.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, 12:51. Take a break, come back. What you may have missed coming up next right here on The Zone.
3, 2, 1. It's the 10th annual Top 60 and 60. Get your college football fix every day at 1:30 as the Zone counts you down to the start of the 2024 season by listing off the top 60 players in the state of Utah as voted on by the local media and you, the fans. You'll also hear from the coaches as they talk about the players that will impact their season the most. It's the Top 60 and 60, weekdays at 1:30, presented by 5 Star Painting on your home of the best college football coverage in Utah. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans Olsen and Scotty G. That's right. Yeah! On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a great day. What you may have missed right here on The Zone. And Hans, kind of bumming me out, man. I miss having NBA Finals games. I'm missing having NHL Stanley Cup games.
Yeah. And I finally decided I'm going to try to jump into some type of TV show. And I stumbled into something that I don't know why I love, but I love it.
Oh, boy.
Have you heard much of or seen Love on the Spectrum?
Are we talking that spectrum?
Love on the Spectrum? Yeah.
Is that like Love on the Rocks?
It's a Netflix show. Have you not heard of this?
I'm a little nervous about what direction you're going on this.
Why?
I don't know. Tell me about the show.
It's just they take autistic individuals and they follow them on their relationship path.
Okay.
And it's awesome, isn't it, Connor? It is an incredible show. And every different angle of spectrum is unique and incredible. And so
they're not making fun of them, or they're not.
Oh, not at all. No.
This isn't a My 600-Pound Life where it's just there to kind of mock them and stuff.
Not at all.
Okay, that's good.
It's to try to understand the different angles and spectrums of individuals and their understanding of love and their need for love, and also their desire to find a lifelong partnership. It's truly an incredible show.
Well, that's good, because if it's there to mock these individuals who have been given a poor lot in life and make fun of them because all they want is to find love in life, I was going to be a little upset about it.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean,
because a lot of this can be really exploitive, ugly stuff.
But it's not a show about feeling sorry for these people. It's a show for.
Well, I don't know about making fun of them.
It's not that either. It's
That's
like
good.
truly like it's a show, like just seeing individuals processing what love is all about. And it's really good. I just started the Australia season. That's how much I'm enjoying this.
Wow.
And
But
you
you know
don't
how
like
much I love
series.
love. No, I do not like series. But this is really good. And, you get into second and third dates, and then you get to see them go meet each other's families, and you get to see weddings.
Wow.
Yeah, we're ended up with weddings in a lot of these cases. So Love on the Spectrum, give it a try.
So are they matching people? Like if they're
They are. Yeah, families go over profiles, and they'll go season to season, and different seasons will match up. And they just find partners that try to emotionally match with each other through whatever spectrum they sit in. Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's well done.
1 o'clock straight up, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I have a new segment we're going to debut for the next couple of months, coming up every Thursdays. We're going to call it Big League Thursdays. Kind of get an update on what's going on in the world of bringing Major League Baseball to Utah and the efforts that are being done to try to get that done. Update on the stadium being built in Daybreak, some of the other aspects of Big League Utah and what's going on there. So fun conversation coming up. Ty Wardle was going to join us. He unfortunately unable to do so. So Craig Williams, communication director for the Bees, is going to join us coming up next. Hans and Scotty, but it's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.